this video, we're going to do a facing operation in Pathpilot. See if we can take that file and bring it down to our shop and run it. We're also going to add a drilling operation as well. So we're going to connect to Pathpilot and make sure we have the correct machine set up. So find a machine, Series 2 with upgrades, and take a look at what we're going to be working on. So in SolidWorks, before we get even looking at that, I'm just going to what our goal is to take this block, which is 6 inches by 3 inches, face the top of it, and drill these holes that are tap size for 1032. So let's see if we can do that conversationally. Once we're in Pathpilot, obviously the first thing we need to do is hit the reset button, home our machine. I'm going to look at the ISO view here so we can see what's going on. All right, we've got our machine referenced. I'm going to temporarily zero these things out, and then I'm going to send it to a location approximately where our vise is, just so we can run this job. Now this doesn't really matter because our machine in the shop is going to be have its own work origin, but let's just send it to a location that will give it room to run the file. So I'm going to type in G0 X 5 Y -5 and Z negative, let's say -5 as well, and hit enter, and that should send our machine off so that we've got a little bit of space to work inside the box. I'm going to hit the zeros again so that this is our new work origin and we're ready to go. Jumping into conversational milling, we're going to start right off with a facing operation, and we can go ahead and leave the default, which is a spiral facing. It's a rectangular facing operation. Actually, you know what? Let's go with the rectangular just to talk a little bit more about the step over. It's a little easier to see in this setup. Now, before we get started with this, we have to select a bit. Which bit are we going to use to do this facing operation? And I'm not going to use the fly cutter. We're going to go to our offsets here for a moment. And it looks like we need to load our bits each time we come in here. In a previous video, I showed you how to upload the bit file, our offsets file. I think we're going to have to re-import that file each time we launch a new version of Pathpilot. So I'm going to click in here. Here's our tool file, and there we go. Simple as that. So let's take a look. I believe we have a 3/8 flat, and we're going to use that for our facing operation, and that's tool number 5. All right, so we'll go back to conversation. We'll type in tool number 5. Okay, going to leave all of this alone. Our Z clearance is going to need to be positive. We talked about that before. I think we can get away with 0.2, take it 20 thousandths over the work. All right. Now this is where we've got to decide what this this operation is going to look like. All right. So are we going to run our bit based on our origin of our part? So as you can see, I dimensioned this so that 0 is in the back left corner here of the part, which is typically where we zero our vise. So the math, I set it up easy for you. The numbers are essentially given to you on this dimensioning here. So we're going to go, the part is 6 inches long and it's 3 inches wide. So these are going to be positive x values because we're going to the right of 0. These are going to be negative y values, right? Because we're coming down this way. So let's take a look at that. Come in here. Okay, so I've got my start at 0, my end at 6. I've changed these values, and my y is at 0. Going to make my step over 1/4 of an inch. My y end is negative, as we just talked about. Start a cut 0, negative for our end, 10,000th at a time. Going to put your name in here in the file because we're going to save this to your folder. Post to file. We're going to save it to the virtual path. Hit save. Okay, let's that looks pretty good from the top. So we can see that we're going -3 and we're going positive 6. Now notice these numbers are greater and less than 6, and these are the same. And why is that? Well, the reason is we want to take the bit over the edge of the part, and it's starting with the center of the bit on the part, so it's going to have a little overlap, so it's not going to leave an edge around that part. I'm going to right click and view it from the isometric view and go ahead and hit cycle start, and here we go. I've got it playing at 200% right now, just so we don't have to wait too long here. Take a moment and look at it from the side, and we should have 2 passes, and we do, right? First pass, second pass. So I'm not going to sit here and watch this right now. I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to show you how to download it. So if we go back to our other tab, you should see that we now have, why don't we have it? We should have had our file here. Let me take a quick peek and see what happened. I'm going to go back to conversation, and I'm going to save this one more time and make sure, oh, I didn't put it in the right folder. I'm going to click in here. I didn't double click that. Hit save. That's why it wasn't there. Now if I take a look, here it is. All right, so now I can select this file and notice that it downloads it for me. I right click, go to File Explorer, look in my Downloads folder. There it is. I right click and copy that. I can now go to my Dairy W folder and save that so we can use it in the shop. Whoops. Yeah, CNC and Pathpilot Hub files. I'm going to put it right in that folder we created the other day. So if I paste that in there, I've got that. And there's my G code to run that facing operation. Next video, we're going to do drilling operation.